The Nintendo 64 disk drive, n64dd or 64dd, was an add-on peripheral for the Nintendo 64 that was meant to expand the console's capabilities with disk-based storage, internet connectivity, and new features and gameplay. Released only in Japan in 1999 and discontinued in 2001 due to poor sales, many planned games for the 64DD were ultimately cancelled, shifted to cartridge, or moved to other systems entirely. Here's a timeline of some notable cancelled or shifted projects. 1. 1996, early announcements: Earthbound 64, Mother 3, originally slated for the 64DD. This ambitious RPG from Shuichi Ito was highly anticipated as the follow-up to Earthbound, Mother 2. On the sense, development issues and delays led it to linger for years until the project was ultimately cancelled on the N64 and later revived as Mother 3 on the Game Boy Advance in 2006. Super Mario 64 2, this direct sequel to Super Mario 64 was rumored to introduce Luigi as a playable character and leverage 64DD storage. However, the idea was eventually dropped, and no footage or significant details emerged. 2. 1997 to 1998, expansion of N64 titles: The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, initially developed with the 64DD expansion in mind. It was eventually moved to a cartridge release. Its expansion, titled Era Zelda, would have added new dungeons and content. When the 64DD failed commercially, Era Zelda was cancelled but later released on the GameCube as Master Quest. Fire Emblem 64, planned as an entry in the Fire Emblem series for the 64DD, it was envisioned to use the disk's extra memory to support large-scale battles and story depth. Development was eventually shifted away, and Fire Emblem 64 was cancelled entirely, though some ideas influenced Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance on the GameCube. 3. 1999 to 2000, release of the 64DD and initial software Mario Artist series. This series was one of the few to actually make it to the 64DD. Originally planned as a suite including Paint Studio, Polygon Studio, Communication Kit, Talent Studio, and Sound Studio, only a few parts were actually released. Pocket Monsters, Pocket Copyright Moan. There were plans for a Pocket Copyright Moan entry on the 64DD, possibly involving editing and uploading new Pocket Copyright Monday. However, with the massive success of Pocket Copyright Moan Stadium and other titles, development for this concept shifted away, and it was cancelled. 4. 2001, final cancellations and ports. Shin the Giant. This unique game was released on the 64DD in Japan but was later ported to the GameCube in 2002. It marked one of the few titles to survive the 64DD's discontinuation. Animal Forest, Animal Crossing, initially conceived for the 64DD, it eventually transitioned to a cartridge release on the N64 in Japan in 2001 and was later ported to the GameCube, where it found international success. Other note for the project: SimCity 64, developed specifically for the 64DD by HAL Laboratory, it was actually released but remained exclusive to Japan. This title is known for expanding on SimCity with more intricate 3D city views and character interactions. Cabbage, Shigeru Miyamoto's ambitious virtual pet project, potentially a prototype for Nintendogs, was planned for the 64DD. However, it never materialized on the platform. The failure of the 64DD influenced Nintendo's shift in development strategy, leading many projects initially conceived for the N64 and 64DD to later appear on the GameCube or other Nintendo consoles, where they found a wider audience. 12. Dragon Warrior 7, Dragon Quest 7 originally announced for the 64DD. Dragon Quest VII eventually shifted development to the PlayStation, where it was finally released. 10. Disman DD. A 64DD version of Disman, a shoot-'em-up creation tool, was rumored. However, it was never released. 11. Kirby's Air Ride, Kirby Bowl 64 originally conceived as a 3D Kirby racing game for the 64DD. This title saw multiple delays and was re-envisioned as Kirby Air Ride on the GameCube. 5. F-Zero X Expansion Kit. This was one of the few titles that actually released for the 64DD in Japan. It added a track editor and other customization features for F-Zero X.